Win Daily family. What's going on? It's me, Javi Win Daily, Jay Prellezo, whatever you want to go by. I just want to take a moment of silence, really. And it boils down to, what the sports world and what the DFS world has come down to. We're down to one measly sport, and it's MMA. It's not the sexiest, it's not the best, but at the same time, it's what we're stuck with. So really, what it boils down to is this: coronavirus has taken over, um, and really, I just want to take some time to help you all out. I asked earlier today. I was like, "Hey, what do you guys want to hear about in the DFS world, in the sports? What do you want to learn a little bit more?" So ultimately, what it boils down to is I'm going to help you with multiple topics, and I'm going to focus on the ones that kind of ask the question. And then what I'm going to do special for you guys today is provide you some MMA details. I've been researching since yesterday. I've been dialed in for the past month, and it's similar to what I did with NASCAR last year. And I focused on a little piece of it, and then I kind of went deep into it this year, and I qualified for an online NASCAR final. So it's some good stuff, and really let's focus on really what you asked for. So someone asked, Animal Eagle fan asked, "Hey, what's some tips on contest selection, bankroll management?" So contest selection. This is very important. So in case you don't know this, if you're new to the DFS world, it really boils down to what kind of money you want to win and what you want to do with your money. I know that sounds pretty basic and vague, but really what it boils down to is this: um, if you want to double up your money, if you want to focus on just cashing, you make something called the cash lineup. So really what that goes down to is, hey, you're going to do 50-50s and head-to-heads and focus on that. If you want to focus on the big GPP tournaments and win some big money and have the potential for a 100K win, what you're going to focus on then is the bigger tournaments, which is GPPs. Now, for me personally, I always put a contest in the huge 50,000 to 100,000 person tournament with 500,000 to first or a million to first, whatever the case is. So I always do that, even if I'm doing just cash lineups. I'm not really a cash lineup kind of guy, and really with cash lineups, you're not going to be making anything more than double your money for the most part. You could put a cash lineup in a tournament that's under 100 people, and yeah, you can go about that route. So really what it boils down to is what you want to do. If you want to win the big tournaments, again, I say, just do a bigger buy-in and go under 1,000 people and try to win first place in that tournament. That's what you should be focusing on, and that's what I'm going to help you out on. Someone like Jim Thompson, he's going to do the bigger tournaments, the 50,000 people ones. But for me, I don't see, and this is not bashing you, Jim, so don't be mad at me. I'm not going to basically do this because I don't see the ROI. Unless you win top 5, there's no point in doing that. And you have to beat 50,000 people. It's a lot. It's tough to do. So for contest selection, focus, if you're a casual DFS player, focus on 100 people, 200 people tournaments. Don't go above that. If you're more competitive, do 1,000. I'm becoming to love a little bit more the 1,000-person tournaments, and I've actually taken it down a few times and second places and whatnot. So with contest selection, focus on those lower tournaments. Yeah, you might have to put up a few more dollars here and there, but at the same time, I think you should focus on, instead of doing a $10 with 5,000 people, do a $20 with 500 people. Yes, you're not. It's not as big as a prize pool for first place, but go about that route. In regards to bankroll management, and I'm gonna need a cup of water here soon. Sorry about that. In regards to bankroll management, really what it boils down to is you need to find a strategy for this. So the strategy is here. If you're gonna do, let's say you have $1,000. I'm just gonna use $1,000. You can have 100, you can have 50, whatever the case is. If there's an NBA slate, which rest our souls with NBA, especially with what happened on the last day before they canceled it. Rudy Gobert, you're the worst kind of human. But what you need to do is with that slate, it's a 6-game slate. Don't put in your whole bankroll. Really just start small, especially if you're a new DFS player. Bankroll management, it's all about starting small. Put $20, 20 of your $100 in. Put 100 of your $1,000 in. Don't go all in on the first day. And with 2, 3, 4-game slates, don't even put that much in. Put 10% of your bankroll, and that's it. Those slates are all lucky. It's crap. You're going to be splitting money with everybody. Everyone's going to have the same lineup, especially with the cash lineup. In regards to cash and GPP lineups, we can discuss that more in depth another time. I do want to get to MMA. And give me 1 second. So in regards to all that, I hope that makes sense. You guys can contact me if you have any more questions, especially you, the sub, that asked me that. So I want to move on to another question. So as I drink out of my FanDuel water bottle, who I'm banning, ironic now, right? So in regards to the second question now, someone said, do one on baseball. Bless the heart of everybody in baseball. Baseball is one of my favorite sports. It's one of my favorite DFS sports. It's my favorite season long. People don't like it for season long because it's too long. I like baseball a lot, more than football personally, even for season long. Yeah, you only have 17 weeks for football or 16 weeks. Baseball season long is my favorite. It takes some time, but it's great. In regards to baseball, really what you need to do is focus on a ranking system. And really that's what we did on Win Daily. Me, James Rocker, and Nick, DFS Ghost, who has a Canadian name I can't say his last name. But really what it boils down to is that we made a ranking system. And so make your own rankings. Use our Win Daily projections, use our season-long cheat sheet, and focus on your rankings. I did my first draft, part of the SiriusXM host league with Jason and David Jones, and ultimately what we did was we set a strategy, and our strategy at the 4th pick was go heavy hitter, then pitcher. A lot of people like to do pitcher in the first 3 rounds. I personally like to focus on winning, 4 of the 5 hitting categories. And that's what we did. We went Cody Bellinger first, and then I can't remember the next 2. I don't have it off the top of my head, but our team is stacked hitting-wise. And then later rounds, we got stolen bases, And then we went with pitchers later on as well. And we're not gonna have the sexiest pitching staff, but if we win all the offensive categories and finish middle of the pack with pitching, you're gonna win that in a roto league. I like head-to-head. Hopefully there's a max on the streaming. But yeah, we can dive into baseball more that way. But create your own ranking system. MMA, someone would like to know the basics to looking for data. Cash, single entry GPP, multi-entry GPP. So really with cash, like I said, 50-50s head-to-head, single entry GPPs. I love single entries because the Sharks usually don't win single entries because what they do is in a $555 contest, what they're going to do is they're going to max out with 20 lineups, and then measly Javi here is going to put in 4 or 5 lineups only, which is still a big chunk of cash, and those Sharks are going to hedge all of their bets. And I love to beat them when they max out. I love to see the people who put 20 lineups and they don't even cash one, and Javi comes in here for the rescue. So with single entry GPP, depending on the size, it depends on the size. If you're doing under 1,000 people, you can have a core sexy 6, I guess you can say. With those 6, you can then mix and match with leverage plays of that. With multi-entry, a different monster in itself. I'm not going to dive into that. So UFC, really what it boils down to is going through the fights. So I want to go through the fights. This wasn't part of the plan, but I'm going to do it for you guys. So with UFC, I'm gonna pull up the fights really quick. Should have had it ready, so I apologize. I'm gonna start from the bottom because we started from the bottom. Now we're here. Just go with the corny jokes, right? So let's start here. First fight of the night, and just so you guys know, I am doing 7 lineups. They bumped up their prize pool for UFC, MMA, whatever it's called, UFC Fight Night, I guess. And really, what it comes down to is I'm putting in for the main contest, which was $20, with first place I think is 50K. So yes, let me just pull that up real quick. So I just want to pull up the slate so I don't give you the wrong information, because literally all we're down to is MMA. So it's $20, 11,000 people. Not my favorite contest, but I'm going to throw in a lineup there because I'm doing GPP. This is the one that I'm investing in. I got a free ticket from DraftKings because they're sorry I can't gamble that much. They're giving me $333 ticket, 337 people, 20K to first. I'm not maxing. I'm putting in also 7 lineups in the $5, which is 23,000 people, and then I'm doing a bunch of the qualifier. So basically, it's the online final that's called the Knockout King qualifier. The reason I'm doing 7 lineups is because I have 7 lineups in the qualifier too. So maybe I can win all 7 qualifiers. Who knows? UFC has not been nice to me, but the last 2 weeks I've actually cashed very nicely. So I think I'm getting better at this, and that's why I'm going to help you guys out through this. Let's talk about this. So the first fight I'm going to go through is Veronica Macedo versus Bea Malecki. All right. So it's not the sexiest fight. Macedo's going to win. I don't even know if I'm saying the names right. Malecki is 3-0, but really she doesn't have much of a reach. She doesn't really have a good size advantage. She's got really what it boils down to, and I was reading this, I can't take credit, is there's no fluidity to her game. So yeah, she's actually got the size from what I'm seeing here. But that's it. That's all she is. Yeah, she's undefeated, so maybe take a flyer on that. This is not the sexiest fight. I honestly not into this fight per se. And Malecki could upset, but I think it's gonna be a boring fight. It could be an instant knockout for either one of these gals, I guess you could say. But really, I'm going to fade this fight personally. I'm not on it. Yeah, that's it. Bruno Silva versus David Dvorak. Okay, so this is an interesting fight too, because Dvorak has 8 KO, 7 submissions. He's looked good. He's been able to, have a mix of both. He's got 15 wins off of that, and 2 have gone to decision. So if he doesn't KO or submit, there's a chance he loses. I think Silva is more polished, and that's what it comes down to. Dvorak, it does come here. This is a very difficult fight. Silva does come out here more calculated and whatnot. But for me, it's going to be interesting to see with what happens here. The grappling game is what's going to come down to for Dvorak, and Silva could come out and just KO or submit as well. He's got 3 KOs, 3 submissions. He's 10-4, so I mean he's got less battles, but he is Brazilian. He's going to have to be patient, and then he's going to have to capitalize late. So again, not another fight that I plan on attacking too much. They're both pretty similar in salary, so yeah. Let's go Ronnie Raya and Enrique Barzola. Raya. That's a Raya. This is going to be an interesting fight too. So really what it comes down to is Yaha is 6-7 record. He's 35 years old, and he's facing Barzola, who's got lots of energy. He's younger. He's got that going for him. I honestly think this is going to be an interesting fight because Barzola is 16-5 and he's only got 3 KOs and 3 submissions. So I think this fight goes the distance. He's not really a KO or submission kind of person. But this is a weird fight in the sense that none of these fighters are really good. None of these fighters really come out to be stick out to me. Raya with a 6-7 record is just gross. And we don't go by records. And I'll give you some advice here. I'm going to stop real quick. Is because in regards to MMA, leave salary on the table. At least $1,000, in my opinion. Yeah. I think that's what you need to do because everybody's going to have, since there's only 12 fights and whatnot, there is a chance that everybody's going to zero out their DK lineups, and then in regards to that, then you're going to split your 50K prize if you win the 50K, right? But yeah, that's what I got to say there. Let's go to Mara Bueno Silva versus Marna Moroz. Moroz versus Silva. So I'm going to go out and say Moroz is going to win this fight, right? Silva really hasn't shown us much. Moroz hasn't shown us much, but the upside is in Moroz. Silva's undefeated, mainly by submission. He's got 1 KO. But overall, she just doesn't look like she's that good. I mean, her last fight was impressive with a grappler in Roberson. But really, she doesn't have a name for herself or a skill set there. So that's I don't want to touch on that fight. I don't like that fight either. Let's get into the good fights, really. Dos Santos versus Kunchenko. Really, I am not feeling Kunchenko from what I've seen. And he is very, very good striker. Has a great record and whatnot, and from the M1 and what it is. But Dos Santos is just a complete fighter. Dynamic, great background, solid striking game. Yeah, I think this fight can go the distance, which worries me. Because again, in MMA, you want to leave salary on the table, and you want to pick the fighter that's going to KO him in the first 10 seconds. That's where you get the majority of your points. Let's go Ribas versus Marcos, right? Amanda Ribas versus Ronda Marcos. There's some names that are easier to say, right? Ribas is 8-1. Ribas is priced at 9,300. Marcos is 6,900, right? Ribas is gonna win this fight, but it could go to decision. Ribas is not really a knockout kind of person. Marcos is a great source of salary saver, in my opinion. If it goes the distance and you choose Marcos and she somehow wins this fight, which I don't think she will, you're in good money and she'll hit value, right? If the fight does go to distance and she loses, you still hit value with Marcos. So for me, Ribas is going to win, but we'll see what happens, right? I think Marcos is a good play still. Formiga versus Moreno. So Juicier Formiga versus Brandon Moreno. This is going to be the fight to watch, right? If you're going by grappler in here, Formiga's better, right? And better on the ground. And really, Moreno can't do anything unless he knocks him out. Moreno is a very, very good fighter, but Formiga just, I think Formiga just blows him out of the water. So I think one of my locks of the week is going to be Formiga. I just think Moreno is not slippery enough, I guess you can say. Moreno is 16-5. 10 of them are by submission, so not a knockout. And the thing about Moreno is In his 5 losses, he hasn't been finished. So it's interesting to me. I think this is the fight where Formiga will finish Moreno. I could be wrong. Again, I'm not an expert when it comes to MMA, but just from what I'm reading. So Francisco Trinaldo versus John Makdessi. This is another weird one too. Trinaldo is 42 years old, which is very interesting to me. I think this has got upset written all over it. You know, Trinaldo does have a 2-inch reach advantage, and Trinaldo does not have the speed, obviously, at his age. But the approach by Makdessi could make him more favorable in this matchup. So honestly, this is a tough match, but given that Makdessi is $7,300 on DraftKings, he could be one of your best salary savers. I'm not liking Trinaldo in this fight at all. I don't know. It's a tough fight. It is, and by no ways can this happen. But if we're gonna choose an upset, I think this is the one to choose it. So lock in Makdessi for me. Johnny Walker versus Nikita Krylov. Johnny Walker, what a name, huh? I think there's another upset in the making. Krylov is at 7,600. Johnny Walker's at 8,600. For me, it's going to be an interesting fight. I don't know. I think I like the upset here. I think I like that, Krylov is going to be a new star in the rise. I wouldn't be surprised if this is an upset. But we'll see. Walker is 17-4, has 14 wins by KO, and 3 of his 4 losses are by KO. I can see definitely Krylov, who's 26-7 with 11 KOs, knocking him out in the first round. If Krylov knocks him out, this is going to be awesome for me because Krylov will probably be in 3 or 4 of my 7 lineups. So I'm locking it in. Renato Moicano versus Hadzovic. All right, so this is the fight that Jim Thompson wanted me to say Hadzovic's going to win. I honestly don't know what to expect here. I think it goes the distance, and if it goes the distance, then Moicano is not a great pick. I just feel like I didn't like what I saw with Damir Hadzivanic from Bosnia. He does have more than half his wins by KO, and he's got 3 submissions. But again, I don't know. This matchup is good, but Moicano should win it because of the volume striker that he is. So that's what I'm going at. This might be a fade match for me. Again, I'm not totally decided, and we can talk more about it. So let's go to the last 2 fights. So the main cards, of course. We have Demian Maia and Gilbert Burns. I don't like going against Burns. Plain and simple. I can go into exactly, why, but really what it comes down to is Burns is one of the best grapplers in the MMA. I was actually watching videos of him, and this guy just grapples you to death. He's just an elite grappler. Even though Maia is a grand wizard, they say, and a 4th degree black belt and whatnot, but I don't think Maia has a chance in this. It's Gilbert Burns, and he's probably going to be one of my locks of the week as well. Again, I'm not decided on everything overall, but we'll see what happens. Kevin Lee versus Charles Oliveira. This is the main fight. I've talked to multiple people, multiple pros in this. They're saying Kevin Lee is the pick. Other people are saying Oliveira is the pick. This is hard. This is a tough fight. Because, again, I can see it going this distance. Similar to that boring Romero fight last weekend. And, you're not going to get many points. It's going to be a pretty chalky fight. With the pressure going on, I think Lee gets this. But I think I'm fading this fight. And here's why. I'll tell you why. I'm just more confident in the other fights. Kevin Lee is 8,300 versus Oliveira 7,900. I don't hate going either one in one of your lineups, but it's not my favorite play. It's not my favorite fight. It'll be chalky probably because it's one of the last fights, but I'm not on it. Yeah, this is my deep dive of MMA. Can you tell I don't sound as confident? That's because I'm not as confident. I'm just kidding. Like I said, I've been pretty successful in it the last 2 weeks. We've been on Discord talking about fights every week. While I was in my bachelor party, not my bachelor party, but at a bachelor party in Charleston, South Carolina. I don't have coronavirus, in case you're wondering, I think. We were discussing the MMA fights. I watched them, and it turned out to be profitable. It was the only DFS I did besides the NBA qualifier. Rest in peace, NBA. So that being said, like this is the first of many videos. I just wanted to dive into some of the questions that were asked. I hope you join our Corona Night Trivia more often. I'm very sad that NASCAR is not happening, but at the same time, we gotta respect how everyone feels about everything, even if I don't agree with it. Because I don't agree with it. I think everyone's over exaggerating, but who knows? I'll probably be the one to get Corona tomorrow. Just kidding. I hope not. That being said, you know where to find me on Twitter at Javi Win Daily. Javi's with the J. It's all one word. And I'll be in Discord chat, sadly, with just MMA. But that being said, I'm signing off here. We'll talk more on MMA. I'll write an article probably tonight or tomorrow. Well, I guess tomorrow's the fight, so I'll do it tonight. And we'll chat more. All right, thanks for listening, guys. See you.